guys, so now we're back in my YouTube studio, and in today's video we're going to talk about the 30mm 1.4 from Sigma, and I'm actually also recording with this lens right now. And in this video I wanted to talk about my thoughts on this lens, about the pros and cons, and I also wanted to show you some images from Maxi's photoshoot. So to begin with the specs of this camera lens, so this lens was released in 2016. And this particular Sigma lens was designed for the Sony E-mount. So always when you get like a lens, you always have to also make sure you get it for the right camera mount. So yeah, always make sure when you have like an a6000 or a6100, you always get the Sony E-mount version. This is a big deal because when I got this lens, I was ordering actually the wrong one. I had to send it back. So one little tip for you guys, if you're watching this, always go for the Sony E-mount. And the pros of this lens is, and I also wrote down some notes here, is that, yeah, it's a 1.4, and basically what that means is that's a fast prime lens. And when you're a photographer and you want to, for example, shoot in low light, this lens is pretty good because it's very versatile. And what I also like about this lens is that the autofocus is really good. For example, and here I'm also going to show you an image. So this photo we've done in the forest, and on this photo shoot we did like over 1,500 pictures, and I can probably say that maybe 10 were out of focus, but that was more my mistake. So the autofocus on this camera lens is really good. And one tip I also got for you if you buy a lens is always to make sure you get a lens with AF, which means autofocus, because my mistake at the beginning of like starting out with photography was that I believed that if I get a manual lens, I would save more money and yeah, it would do the same job. But with manual lenses, for example, you always have to focus correct and you might end up focusing wrong. So with the Sigma 30mm 1.4, I'm really impressed with the autofocus and the sharpness, and this makes this lens really, really good. But there are also some disadvantages of this lens. And I also wanted to show you a picture here. And here you see a full body shot with the Sigma 30mm 1.4. And yeah, I really like the picture and the way she poses is awesome. But what I realized with this lens is, so there's sometimes kind of a distortion. This is just my opinion because I'm going to show you now a picture of the 85mm 1.8. So basically we did the same picture with the 85mm 1.8. I feel like with the 85mm 1.8, there's more separation between the background and the model, and it depends on what kind of work you want to do. But I feel like there's more magic, for example, in the picture with the 85mm 1.8. And from my experience, and don't get me wrong, the Sigma 30mm 1.4 is a great lens, but sometimes I feel like if you want to do portrait photography and if you really want to have that shallow depth of field, you would probably would be better off with like an 85mm 1.8. And this is something you should bear in mind in what kind of photos you want to do. Because if you want to have a lot of sharpness, a lot of, yeah, a versatile lens, the Sigma 30mm 1.4 is a great option because you can use it in basically every situation. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm filming. So that's why the Sigma 30mm 1.4 is a really good lens. But sometimes I feel like, and I love Bokeh, which is like this blurry background. And I sometimes feel I'm missing that, but that's just such a minor con. But I wanted to mention it because it's something I noticed. And another con I notice is, and this has to do with videography, and if you're a photographer, don't worry about this. But if you are into videography, I realized that there's a lot of shaky footage. And with the Sigma 30mm 1.4, there's no in-body stabilization. So if you are like doing a lot of video, the lens has some difficulties, but you can always get a gimbal, for example, or you could use your iPhone, or yeah, like I do right now. I always record my footage with an iPhone and my gimbal up there. So you can overcome that problem very easily. But it's something I notice is when you do video with this lens and you just do handheld shots, you will have some shaky footage, but it's not so bad as you think, but it's something I noticed and I wanted to mention in this video. So now I'm going to go to my thoughts on this camera lens and if beginner photographers should get it. And my honest opinion is yes, I believe this camera lens is really good for entry photographers, because at the end of the day, we still have to look at the price, and you can get this lens for around 290 euros. And I honestly believe that's such a good price if you're just starting out with photography and you get a really sharp lens. And sometimes I look on Amazon or on the internet and I see like lenses which are like 1,000 euros, 2,000 euros. And yeah, they're not even better than the Sigma 30mm 1.4. So personally, I'm going to use it, and I'm also going to use it for the future. For example, right now with video. But honest opinion now, I am rather going to stick with the 85mm 1.8 for my portraits. Sometimes I switch, but I would rather go for an 85mm because I really like the bokeh with the 85mm 1.8. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope this video helped you to get like an insight into this lens. And I also hope the images I showed in this video also help you to get like a better overview over this lens and what it can do. And if you want to see more videos like this, where I talk about cameras, about lenses, about how I shoot, you can definitely let me know in the comments down below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel to always be up to date, and also make sure to ring the bell so you get notified. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and guys, take care of yourself and see you next time. Bye.